Hello, Mr. Glen. I'm here at the Durham Museum, and my first stop is at the buffalo exhibit because I know it's your favorite. The average male buffalo stands at around 6 feet tall, and it can run up speeds of up to 40 miles per hour. Buffalo graze in grasses in the morning and in the evening, and grooming is part of their daily routine. Their massive heads have a bunch of wiry hair in them, and they have horns that do not shed. They have poor eyesight, and they have very high level of curiosity, and they can become extremely dangerous if cornered. Buffalo is used now, but the correct term is bison, just to let you know, because I know how much you hate the term bison. This exhibit is about the Omaha tribe. It reached prominence by controlling trade along the Missouri River during the 1700s before being destroyed by war and disease. The people known as the which means against the current upstream, moved into the Missouri Valley around 1700, and they separated from their cousins, the Kappa, Osage, Kansa, and Ponca peoples, who moved up the Missouri River to the region north of the Platte. Moving from the woodlands to a prairie environment changed Omaha culture in many ways. The Omaha tribe now continues to labor against the current to preserve their unique heritage, and the tribe maintains its sense of identity and remains with strong cultural bonds to the practices and traditions of its ancestors. So this is the Lewis and Clark exhibit. Early in 1803, Thomas Jefferson ordered Meriwether Lewis to find a waterway to the Pacific Ocean when they purchased the Louisiana Territory, and Meriwether Lewis decided to bring a friend along with him named William Clark. They were to serve missions as co-commanders. On May 14th, 1804, the explorers and crew, known as the Corps of Discovery, set out from an area near the St. Louis up the Missouri River in a 55-foot keel boat and two smaller canoe-like boats called pirogues. All throughout the journey, Lewis, Clark, and the other crew members filled their journals with details of Indian inhabitants and the rich resources they found. Notes would later capture the nation's imagination and serve as a rich source of information about the new, mysterious U.S. territory. Their journals did have a bunch of grammatical and spelling mistakes, and they are still engraved in history. So this is the Trans-Mississippi Exposition. It was Omaha's hosting of the Trans-Mississippi and International Expedition, and it was a chance to introduce the gateway to the West. The Trans-Mississippi opened on June 1st, 1898, and closed October 31st on the exact same year. More than 2.5 million people strolled through the exhibits that proudly featured the newly settled West and highlighted the many technologies from the world. Other cities in the U.S. and Europe had improved their fortunes with these grand events. business and community leaders from 24 states and territories um, west of Mississippi wanted to do the same. Um, Drought, poor crops, and failed banks had plagued Nebraska since around 1890. The grip of a nationwide economic depression was just beginning to loosen. Before the expedition started, the Spanish-American War was declared, and good times were long overdue. And this is kind of a model of what the Trans-Mississippi expedition was going to be like. So yeah. So right now we are at the Stockyards exhibit. Omaha's mighty Union Stockyards shaped the city's fortunes on the way to becoming the nation's largest livestock market and center for packing. It was located at the eastern end of the Transcontinental Railroad. Omaha's central location and plentiful grain supply made it the ideal place for stockyards that would link western cattle producers with eastern consumers. Several attempts to open stockyards in Omaha had previously failed, but in 1883, 7 determined businessmen bought 2,000 acres of land south of Omaha. They allotted 200 acres for the stockyards and set aside the remainder for a new city, which is today Omaha. In 1884, the Union Stockyards of Omaha opened 4 miles south of the city limits. The next year, the city of South Omaha was founded. Soon after came the meatpacking plants. The recipe for a century of profits and prosperity needed one final ingredient, which was laborers. Lured by the prospect of steady work, thousands of immigrants came over to South Omaha. In 1955, Omaha overtook its longtime rival, Chicago, for the title of nation's largest livestock market meatpacking center. Something that has been held with Omaha, something that was held with Omaha until 1968. During that landmark year, 19 packing plants operated in Omaha. Crews worked 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. More than 6.4 million cattle, hogs, and sheep came through these yards. The Union Pacific Railroad played an important role in the establishment of these stockyards. Some of the land for the stockyards was purchased from Union Pacific. The railroad has also offered favorable livestock shipping rates. 5 years after the founding of it, the stockyards contracted with Union Pacific to connect rail lines to the yards. This sufficient system transported livestock directly into the stockyards, which in turn was herded into feed pens, livestock chutes, and then packing plants. USY purchased its first locomotive engine in 1898 directly from Booth at the Trans-Mississippi Expedition. So this is a 1924 Cornhusker Club car. On June 6, 1948, the Union Pacific Railroad attached the Cornhusker Club car to President Harry S. Truman's train. Truman was traveling west from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles, California. From Nebraska to Idaho, the press-filled and Cornhusker club car as it rolled down the rails. They reported on what later became a famous and important trip. Very few Americans believed that Truman was doing a good job in 1948, and they did not believe he would win a second term. But Truman's 1948 was stopped tour covered 30,000 miles and was stopped in over 200 towns. This campaign helped him win a second term in November, a victory very few thought possible. So this is streetcar 1014. It was founded in 1867 on the Omaha Horse Railway Company, and the Omaha Horse Railway Company was Omaha's first transportation company. It was consolidated with the Omaha Cable Tramway Company to create the Omaha and Council Bluffs Railway and Bridge Company, known as the ONCB. The company connected Omaha and Council Bluffs via the Douglas Street Bridge. It was one of the earliest streetcar railway systems in the nation and one of the last. ONCB's last streetcar ran in 1955. ONCB built streetcar 1014 in 1919 at the former Omaha Street Railway garages at 24th and Ames Street. In the 1980s, this became a part of the Durham Museum, the Durham Museum's collection. In poor condition after years of neglect, museum volunteers worked to restore and renovate this streetcar. Today, visitors can climb aboard this car and experience what it might have been like 50 or so years ago. Times changed, so did the homes of Omaha's residents. Before Omaha's founding in 1854, the Omaha tribe lived in earth lodges, one-room log cabins sheltered early settlers. As the city grew with immigrants who moved to Omaha with the opening of the West, affordable housing became a necessity. After the turn of the 20th century, many families saved their wages to move from one-story workers' cottages to two-story bungalows. Omaha's wealthiest residents lived in large homes in suburbs. This is a statue of St. Cecilia, the patron saint of music, that once stood in St. Cecilia's Cathedral in 1910. Work on the cathedral began in 1905, and the building was completed in phases, with the construction occurring only when money was available. First services were held on December 21st, 1916, wherein Jeremiah J. Harding was installed as bishop. Construction was completed in 1959, 54 years after it began. Today, St. Cecilia's Cathedral is one of the top 10 largest Catholic cathedrals in the United States.